All right, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about a company called Masterworks. I recently just invested $15,000 into Masterworks platform, and I'll pull that up in a little bit. But before I get into my own investing, I just want to talk a little bit about the company. So this is on their page here, and basically, Masterworks allows you to invest in high-end artwork that you normally wouldn't be able to purchase individually unless you were willing to shell out millions upon millions of dollars to do so. So it allows you to diversify your portfolio apart from stocks, bonds, crypto, real estate, so on and so forth, into a lowly or non-correlated asset. You can see here that it's showing that the contemporary art annual appreciation is 13.6% versus the S&P 500, and that looks like it's going back to 1995 or so. So not only are they trumpeting the outperformance, but they're also discussing, rightly so, the low correlation to equities. I believe they had, I want to say, Citigroup do a study, and it was a low correlation, maybe 0.33, 0.31, somewhere in there. We can double check on that, but from my recollection, that's where it is, and that's excellent. I'm going to pull up Ray Dalio, the holy grail of investing. He really talks about that, the power of diversification and finding lowly correlated, negatively correlated investments that do well over time. So just a look, on their page here, it's going to talk about investments in securitized blue chip paintings, price appreciation, 100 total offerings, 100 plus offerings, 350 million in securitized paintings, and it's showing their track record at 15.8. And for those of you who study investing, you know that when you look at something like the S&P and you go to a financial advisor, they're going to give you that figure of 7 to 11%. So it's certainly alpha over the S&P 500. But more importantly, I think it's that uncorrelated nature of this. So for someone like myself, for those of you who follow this channel, I have, 2 million, let's say, in real estate, a million plus in the stock market. Putting something here, I think for me, is a great idea. And it's like kind of akin to my metaverse investment, my real estate in Decentraland. And that was 15,000. This was 15,000. So there's $30,000 right there between these two that aren't really correlated to the S&P and to my stock market holdings. So, they've been on Jim Cramer, Mr. Wonderful has talked about it, and just hear some of their big artists: Basquiat, Warhol, Banksy, Cowles, Kusama, Kondo. So let's actually pull up now. This is a short video that I want to play just to kind of give you an introduction on it. It's 2-minute video, and this is the CEO here.
If you look at art as an asset class, art is one of the oldest asset classes there are. Sotheby's is the oldest company on the New York Stock Exchange and nearly 275 years old. So people have been trading art for centuries. The common denominator of that is that the people that have been buying and selling this art typically have been the ultra wealthy. The opportunity that we see at Masterworks is to take this very large asset class, which is roughly $1.7 trillion, and make it accessible to everyone. We remove the barriers that people would face if they tried to invest in art on their own. So the first thing is the cost of artwork is obviously very high for your average investor. We've created a platform that transforms physical art into share-based ownership, both for retail, accredited, and larger institutional investors. Well, the way it works is we go out, we purchase a painting that we think is an investment-grade painting, and then we file that painting with the SEC, very similar to how a company goes public. So as soon as a painting is filed with the SEC, we begin selling shares, and people can own fractional interests in individual paintings. By turning the artwork into fractional interests and shares, we're going to be able to provide a device where they can get liquidity in the shares where the underlying artwork doesn't necessarily have to be sold. So if I'm an investor that wants to seek interim liquidity for our shares through the Masterworks bulletin board, investors could post their shares and seek a buyer for those shares on a direct basis.
For anyone who's already invested in the stock market or real estate, adding an uncorrelated asset class is incredibly interesting, and we're here to provide that.
We use our expertise to select the art and to manage the art. And that's something, again, your average investor lacks that expertise, so we provide it. So this is the first opportunity for anyone to invest in multi-million-dollar artworks.
So there it is. That's the CEO and some of the executives speaking about the company. And yeah, you notice they mention the correlation, and that's so important. I'm going to play a Ray Dalio video in a second. But for me, it's not necessarily attaining alpha with Masterworks. It's having another uncorrelated asset. So if you think of my real estate holdings where I collect rent, my rental collections aren't connected or correlated necessarily to my stock market holdings. My stock market holdings aren't necessarily correlated to my investment in Masterworks. And I feel that you can really kind of build a fortress investment portfolio, if you want to use that term instead of fortress balance sheet, but a fortress investment portfolio. If again, you can have things that are doing well over time, compounding in that 7 to 15% range, and then those particular choices that you're making aren't correlated with each other, or they're lightly correlated. But let's get into the back end of Masterworks. So this is my account here, and you can see when you log in here, you're going to see current offerings. So now here's the thing, the minimum on this is generally $15,000, which is what I put in. So, if you're just starting out as an investor, I don't know if they waive that. I'm not sure how that works, but I did put the 15 in. It wasn't a problem for me. But you could go in here and let's say you can scroll down here, the initial offering, 11,322,000. Gerald Richter, you can click on here for the investment thesis where they discuss it, the deal sheet, and then you can click on invest now. Now this one is 99% filled. They break them down into shares, fractional ownership at about $20 a share. So there's that. There's Gerald Richter. And it shows you, again, historical price appreciation of similar works of Richter. It's about 14%. And then you go here, Christopher Wool. It's a sort of graphic. 7.7 million. 31% return here. Showing his auction sales. You can look at his repeat sales. So they're really scholars here. Let me just say that also. They've really assembled a team of scholars and intellectuals and archivists really to put this information, and it's beautifully presented here. This is their SEC filing. This is the sales. This is the graph on repeat sales. So the auction history, his 2020 sales. So it's very thorough. Just scrolling down here is Ed Ruscha, 12.6. Bridget Riley, 13.5. And then, again, it just talks. Bridget Riley is a leading figure of the op art movement, known for her use of line, formal color arrangements, and geometric precision to create optical visual effects. And you can see in 2020, she had her auction sales were about 14 million. This particular offering is 82% full. So it's still, a little bit to go. Gerald Richter, another one by him, 77% full. He had $102 million dollars of sales in 2020. So you're not buying an up and comer, so to speak, in this. They've really done their research in kind of blue chip artists. And then some of their last 90 days, they had Banksy, Sam Gillian, Keith Haring. This is the one I did, Zhao Wuqi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that properly. Zhao Wuqi, and that's a Chinese artist. And David Hockney, Helen Frankenthaler, Yayo Kusama, Cows. I'm maybe mispronouncing some of these things. But there you go. And let me take you now and to show you my portfolio. So you come down here. So you have $17 here. My estimated fair market value is 15,143. My cost basis 15,133. You can see I have the Zhao. Let me click on this if it'll come up. And it shows the painting itself. There it is. His similar sales right here. And in 2020, he had $158,129,017 of sales. Wow. His auction history goes back 39 years. So very much blue chip. And so why did I choose this particular painting? Well, I didn't choose it for aesthetics. Not saying I dislike the painting in any way, but I chose it because he's a Chinese artist. And for me personally, it's very much a Graham Allison worldview. I feel that the 21st century is going to be defined by the rise of China, the rise of the Chinese economy, and against the U.S. or in conjunction with the U.S., that the U.S. and China are going to be the 1 and 2 economies in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that's going to define the century. So there are many Chinese millionaires and billionaires being minted through the economic rise of China. And so my feeling is that they will perhaps like to collect Chinese artists. So that was just a very simple decision. Plus his CHER, looks quite strong. But that was just why I chose this particular painting. And we'll see. It's on record here in 2022. We'll see in 2028, 2030, 2035 how that plays out. But that's just the idea. And then basically, they hold it and they could, or they will likely at some point sell it. You can see I have 750 shares at $20 a share for 15,000. They also have a secondary market, and in the secondary market, you can see right here, Little Electric Chair, Andy Warhol. I bought this for $19 on the secondary market, and that's now $20.55 on its last appraisal. And what's interesting there is, let's say at a certain point that I needed liquidity and I wanted to sell my $15,000, I would be able to go on the secondary market and put a sell order, and I could put that price at $20, I could put it at $22 or $19, $18. So, I was able to pick up this Warhol, and just a small amount, $143 or so, beneath the $20 initial offering. And then the appraisal value, the most recent appraisal, shows it at $20.55 a share. So I actually, have a little bit of margin of safety, to quote Benjamin Graham there, so to speak. So you can kind of play that in the secondary market if you have an interest. And so it's fascinating. Again, it's just another diversification for me. And let's finish out with Ray Dalio. And I think that this minute or so clip really speaks to the power of what the Masterworks platform offers.
What that taught me is the magic is you only need to do this simple thing. The simple thing is to find 15 or 20 good, uncorrelated return streams. Things that are probably going to make money, but you don't know, but they have a good probability of making money. And that are uncorrelated, that have low correlation. That told me that's what I have to go after, right? That's the key. A lot of people think that the most important thing you can do is find the investments. Okay? That's important, okay? But there is no great one best investment that can compete with something like this. So look at this line. When this comes down, you can improve your return to risk ratio by a factor of 5, right? 5 times the expected return for that unit of risk. You can't pick any investments that probably, nobody's humanly capable in an efficient market probably to pick investments that are 5 times as good individually, but so that path. So it tells me about the power of diversification and balancing risk. So this is the return.
So there you go, the power of diversification. And again, I think it's a nice diversification from equities, from real estate, from crypto, from a business. So imagine if you could build a portfolio holding all those things. You hold some precious metals, you hold some crypto, you have a 7-figure stock portfolio, a 7-figure amount of real estate. You're making yourself, to quote Taleb here, more and more anti-fragile, so to speak. So I actually have a link here below, which will get you started in Masterworks. So if this video piques your interest and you want to take a look at it, go ahead and click on that link. We really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts, comments on Masterworks. Take care. Ciao.